All right, so are you ready? Because today we are diving deep into self-motivation.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be looking at 100 ways to motivate yourself.
That's right.
Just for you guys, we got some pages from this book, and we are going to pull out all the really cool stuff, all the actionable stuff, the stuff that's surprising.
Yeah.
Things that'll really stick with you.
I think it's really interesting because you can learn all these techniques.
Right.
But unless you understand how to apply it to your own life and why it works,
Yeah.
it's just kind of trivia.
Exactly.
So we're going to really look at that.
Yeah. So let's start with this analogy on page 12. It's kind of a mind bender. It says, imagine the universe is made of snow.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And every action you take, every step you make,
Good.
you're kind of like leaving a footprint and you're creating yourself through all these actions.
Yeah, it's really interesting because every choice you make, even the small ones,
Right?
shapes who you are and who you're becoming.
Wow.
Oh.
I like that. So it's not just the big decisions, it's really those everyday things we're doing that kind of add up to this big thing that we are,
Exactly.
So, okay, speaking of creating ourselves, let's talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger on page 21. This guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he had a vision and like he was serious.
Yeah.
He was not kidding around.
He boldly declared that he was going to be Hollywood's top star.
Wow.
Even though he didn't really fit the mold at all.
Right.
But he did it.
I'm just picturing him like with that accent and the bodybuilding.
Right.
Like saying this to a room full of Hollywood execs.
I know.
Like they probably thought this guy was crazy.
Yeah. Well, maybe he had this mental picture
Yeah.
of himself as a successful actor.
Yeah.
And he just lived into that picture day in and day out as if it was already true.
So it's not just about having the dream, it's about believing it so much.
Yes.
That you start acting like it's already real.
And that belief
Yeah.
fuels those actions that make it successful.
I love it. So we've got a kind of a funny little story on page 23 about the author's daughter writing a lie poem. Basically, she had to brag about how great she was.
Okay.
Even though it wasn't really true.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So there's this hidden self-motivation technique called visualization.
Okay.
So when we envision an ideal for ourselves, even if it seems far-fetched at first,
Right.
it creates a roadmap in our mind for how to get there.
It's like mental rehearsal.
That's it.
The
more vividly we can picture ourselves achieving our goals,
Yeah.
the more likely we are to take the steps to actually make it real.
Yeah.
So yeah, lie poems.
I love it.
There you go.
Okay, now let's go to page 24. We've got Jimmy Johnson, the legendary coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He gave this pep talk before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he used this analogy of walking across a 2x4.
Right.
Which, like, most people would think, okay, I can do that. Easy.
Right.
But then as soon as you start thinking about falling,
Oh, yeah.
it gets harder.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was talking about focusing on the positive,
Yeah.
what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Because dwelling on the negative is only going to throw you off.
It's like your mind is working against you.
Totally.
Right? Like you're trying to do something, but then
Totally.
it's almost like self-sabotage.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, like what are you focusing on right now?
That's a great question.
Are you focused on like what might go wrong, or are you focused on like what you want to achieve?
That's a great question for the listener.
Okay, so page 25 takes us back to the author's childhood. And he and his friend were scared of these overgrown Little League pictures who were throwing heat, and they were just like,
Oh, yeah.
we can't handle this.
Right.
But instead of like shrinking back, they're like, no, we're going to face this head on.
Yeah, they started practicing
Yeah.
against even faster pitches.
Yeah.
So it's like that idea that if you want to get better at something,
Yeah.
you have to push yourself beyond what feels easy and familiar.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like that sweat and peace so you don't bleed in war kind of thing.
Right.
Like train for the worst case scenario and then the real thing will be a breeze.
Exactly.
Okay, so now let's talk about simplifying life. On page 27, the author is describing this like crazy juggling act. He used to do like grocery shopping, spending time with his kids, reading their book reports.
Oh, yeah.
All at once.
Right. But it's that idea that we often have more control over our time than we think we do.
Yeah.
Instead of letting the day run, you take charge and design it to fit your priorities.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's about being intentional.
That's it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now on page 28, we've got Bob, the author's friend, and he has this like radical system for getting things done.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
He does everything immediately.
Oh, wow.
No procrastination, no excuses.
No,
Like as soon as something comes up, he's like, boom, done.
Oh, Oh, man, that's awesome.
I'm getting anxiety just thinking about it.
That's pretty intense.
But I mean, I guess if you could actually live like that, imagine how much mental clutter
Oh, yeah.
you could eliminate.
Totally. Because when you're constantly juggling all these things in your mind,
Yeah.
it drains your energy and makes it harder to focus.
Yeah.
But if you clear out the clutter, both physically and mentally,
Yeah.
then there's space for new ideas, and it makes it easier to take action.
Okay. I'm starting to see the appeal of Bob's method a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump to page 30. The author is sharing a story about working on a political campaign that seemed like it was going to totally fail.
Oh, yeah.
But what turned things around was simplifying everything.
Really?
Stripping away all the unnecessary distractions and honing in on this really clear message and purpose.
And I bet they won.
They did against all odds.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's like complexity leads to confusion and inaction.
Right.
But when we simplify, we get clarity and momentum.
Totally.
So if you're feeling stuck, maybe it's time to step back. Like, what can I simplify? What can I eliminate to get that focus and energy back?
I love it.
Okay, so on page 33, we have this person that I think a lot of us can relate to, who starts projects with tons of enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah.
But they have a hard time finishing.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah. So what's the advice for this?
Well, instead of thinking about how you see yourself,
Yeah.
just focus on finishing something.
Okay.
Even if it's small.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The more you finish, the more confident you become, and then you're ready for bigger challenges.
I love that. So stop worrying about how you see yourself and just like start doing it.
Exactly.
Prove to yourself that
You
you
gotta
can
get it done.
Yeah, just finish it.
One win at a time.
Okay. Now this next one on page 35 threw me for a loop a little bit.
What's that?
Okay, so the author is saying that no one is original.
Okay.
What? So all these creative geniuses that we admire are just copycats.
Well, he's not advocating plagiarism,
Okay.
but I think he's trying to challenge us to rethink what we mean by creativity. Okay. It's not always about coming up with something totally brand new,
Right.
but it's taking inspiration from the world around us
Got it.
and then making it our own.
Okay, so it's not the pressure of coming up with something totally new. It's
Right.
like taking what's already out there,
Yes.
finding your own way to do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So page 36 gets a little bit personal. The author is talking about his own struggle with cynicism
Okay.
early on in his life and how he discovered this whole idea of mindset.
Okay. Yeah, he was skeptical of all those self-help books.
Yeah.
But then a friend recommended Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich,
Yeah.
and it really changed him.
So what was so special about that book?
Well, him and Hill really emphasized the importance of our mental attitude
Yeah.
and how that's the one thing we have total control over,
Okay.
no matter what's happening.
So it's like choosing your attitude
Yes.
in every situation.
That's it.
Even if things are rough,
Exactly.
you still have that power to decide how you're going to respond.
Yeah, and it's not ignoring the challenges
Right.
or pretending that everything's perfect,
Right.
but consciously cultivating
Yes.
a positive mindset,
Right.
even when things are tough.
Love it. Okay, so on page 40, the author is talking about making the most of those in-between moments, like commutes, errands, waiting in line.
Yeah.
And he has this kind of realization about audiobooks.
Oh, yeah. He called his car University on Wheels,
I love that.
didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like turning those hours that you're just kind of stuck
Yeah.
into like learning and growth.
Exactly.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So what are you listening to these days?
Well, I'm really enjoying insert audiobook title here.
Okay.
It's really thought-provoking and inspiring.
Nice.
And for your listeners, I'd recommend anything that sparks your curiosity,
Yeah.
whatever you're interested in.
Okay, so we can't talk about self-motivation without talking about action,
Right.
right? So on page 41, we've got Napoleon Hill again, and he's talking about purposeful action, or definitely planned work is what he calls it.
Right.
And he says this is the antidote to negativity
Oh, wow.
and despair.
Interesting.
So is it any kind of action, or does it have to be like aligned with your values?
Yeah, I think it's about taking action
Okay.
that feels aligned with who we are,
Okay.
meaningful work.
Yes.
When you're engaged with that, it's hard to stay in that negative rut.
So think about your to-do list. Is it filled with stuff that like drains your energy?
Yeah.
Or are you excited to like tackle these things?
Right. What are you actually doing?
Yeah. Okay, so page 42, we're getting into like the world of thoughts
Yep.
and how we can actually rewire our brains for more positivity.
Yeah.
And he's using this analogy of a basketball player learning to dribble with their non-dominant hand.
Right.
So, like, at first they're going to feel awkward and clumsy, but then as they practice, it gets smoother and more natural.
And that's how our minds work, too.
Yeah.
You can train your mind to think more positively, even if it feels unnatural at first.
Right.
It takes effort, repetition. But you can create those new neural pathways.
It's like building mental muscle.
That's it.
Right.
And just like with physical exercise, the more you do it, the stronger you get.
I like it. Okay, so page 44 has this kind of counterintuitive idea.
Okay.
It says that starting slowly can actually help you finish faster.
Interesting. How does that work?
Well, it's like when you're dreading a task.
Yeah.
It's that initial resistance that's holding you back.
Yeah.
But if you can just focus on getting started, even if it's super slow, you break through that inertia and gain some momentum.
So it's like tricking your brain into getting started.
That's it.
I like it.
Yeah.
So if you're stuck on something, just set a timer for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Just work on it. No judgment, no pressure.
Okay.
You might surprise yourself with what you can get done.
I love it.
Okay, so on page 49, we have Franz Kafka talking about the power of stillness.
Oh.
Which I think is so important these days.
It is, because we're just constantly bombarded with information and distractions.
Yes.
Yeah, he reminds us that it's really important to disconnect and just be quiet and still.
Yes.
Let your mind settle, and then new insights can emerge.
It's like silencing the noise so you can hear your own inner wisdom.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm seeing a theme here.
What's that?
Slowing down, simplifying, creating space.
Yeah.
I like it.
Creating space for clarity.
Okay, so page 50 is talking about something a little bit more fun.
Okay, what's that?
It's about tapping into our brain's natural highs.
Oh, yeah.
So like laughing, singing, dancing.
It releases endorphins and all those other good chemicals in our brain.
So you're saying we could actually like hack our own happiness?
Totally.
I like it.
And when we feel good,
yeah,
we're naturally more motivated and energized.
Yeah.
So find the things that bring you joy and just make them a part of your routine. Okay, so on page 64, we have this story about the author's daughter and her kind of creative approach to comforting a classmate.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
So this little girl accidentally got a black marker mark on her nose.
Oh, no.
And of course, the kids are laughing.
Oh, yeah.
But instead of like getting upset or trying to hide it, the author's daughter, Margie, she drew a mark on her own nose and encouraged all the other kids to do the same.
Oh, that's great.
So she turned this potentially embarrassing situation into like a fun game.
Yeah, that's a great example of thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
You know?
Like instead of just reacting emotionally, she was like, wait, I can be creative, I can use compassion.
Totally.
And come up with a solution that's going to make everybody feel better.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so the takeaway there is you always have a choice in how you respond.
That's right.
To challenges.
Yeah.
So are you going to react with fear or anger?
Yeah.
Or are you going to get creative
right.
and find that win-win solution?
Yeah, what are you going to create?
Okay. Now let's talk about page 69, which is talking about the power of rituals.
Okay.
So the author is saying that if you establish rituals, it can help you bypass that hesitation.
Oh, interesting.
And just consistently do the things that you want to do.
It's like a shortcut.
Yeah, like a mental shortcut to action.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Like, what are the things that you do to get things done?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's your morning routine.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a certain way you approach a task.
Okay, so now page 70 has this really interesting idea about happiness.
Okay.
And it says that happiness isn't something that you achieve, it's a place you come from. So instead of waiting for your circumstances to change to be happy, you choose to be happy now.
Right. And then you approach life from this place of joy and gratitude.
Yes.
And you're more motivated and resilient.
It's like you're tapping into this inner wellspring of energy that's going to help you reach your goals.
Totally.
I like that. So, okay, page 75, we've got Voltaire on his deathbed.
Oh, wow.
And someone asked him, how would you live your last 24 hours?
Okay.
And he said, one at a time.
Oh, wow.
Such a simple
That's beautiful
answer, but so profound.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's so easy to get caught up in worrying about the future or regretting the past.
Yeah.
But that response just brings us back to like the now.
Yeah, it's about being present.
Yeah.
And savoring each moment.
Okay, so on page 76, we're talking about being friendly detectives in conversation.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about being really curious.
Yeah.
Asking questions, listening to the other person.
Yeah.
And just seeing what you can discover.
It makes conversations so much more fun.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think?
Duh.
Instead of just waiting for your turn to talk,
Right.
you're actually present.
Yes, you're really there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's surprisingly motivating
Yeah.
when you're curious about other people.
Yeah.
It opens you up to new ideas and perspectives.
Yeah. Okay, so on page 78, this is kind of a mind bender.
Okay.
It says that focusing on helping others achieve their goals
Yeah.
can actually lead to greater fulfillment and success for you.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like the opposite of what we normally think. Like,
Right.
we think I got to focus on myself.
Yeah.
I got to get what I need.
Right.
But he's saying, no, shift your attention outward.
Yeah. And then you start to see these opportunities that you might have missed,
Wow.
and your own motivation increases.
So how does that work?
Well, I think it's because when you're helping other people succeed,
Yeah.
you're creating this positive, supportive environment
Okay.
that benefits everybody.
Okay.
And so that sense of contribution,
Yeah.
that making a difference for someone else,
Yeah.
that's incredibly motivating.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like the more you give, the more you get.
Exactly.
But applied to like
That's it.
our goals and aspirations.
That's it.
Okay, now on page 79, he's talking about this idea that progress isn't linear. It's more like a bumpy line.
Right.
So what does that mean?
Well, it means there are going to be setbacks.
Okay.
They're inevitable,
Right.
but it's not a sign of failure.
Okay.
It's just a part of the process.
So instead of getting discouraged,
Yeah.
you view those challenges as a chance to learn and grow.
Exactly.
So it's about resilience.
That's it.
Like you're going to fall down,
Yeah,
but it's how you get back up.
totally.
Okay, so page 81, this is for all the lifelong learners out there.
Yeah.
He's talking about the brain and how it can actually continue to grow
Wow.
and adapt throughout life.
So we can get smarter
Yeah.
as we get older.
Yeah, it's not about age.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, it's about how you use your mind.
What are some things we can do?
Yeah. So engage in mentally stimulating activities.
Okay.
Learn a language. Play an instrument.
Right.
Do puzzles.
Read widely.
Read.
Yeah.
Have deep conversations.
Yes. Love it.
All right, challenge accepted. So now on page 82, we have this quote from Robert Jarvik,
Okay.
and it's challenging this whole idea that intelligence is fixed.
Oh, yeah.
He says, whoever told you that you cannot increase your intelligence? Flex your mind, develop it, use it. It will enrich you and bring you the love of life that thrives on truth and understanding.
I love that quote.
It's like a call to action.
It is.
Right?
Right.
You have the power to shape your own mind.
Exactly. In your own destiny.
Okay, so now let's talk about page 89, which is about the power of happiness
Okay.
and how it can actually fuel our success.
So he noticed that happy salespeople
Yeah.
outperform their unhappy counterparts.
Okay, so wait. Are they happy because they're selling more?
Exactly.
Or are they selling more because they're happy?
That's the thing. They're happy because they're selling more.
Wow.
It's a reminder that happiness isn't just an emotion,
Yeah.
but it's this source of energy
Yeah.
that drives us towards our goals.
So instead of waiting for success to bring happiness,
Yeah.
choose happiness now. Exactly.
And that will fuel your success.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, now on page 91, we're talking about left brain versus right brain.
Okay.
But it's not about one side being better than the other.
Right.
It's like we have both those capacities,
Yes.
the logical and the creative,
That's right.
and we need both.
And we perform our best when we use both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like being ambidextrous, but with your brain.
Exactly.
Okay, so page 97, this is a little unconventional.
What's that?
It says, turn your tasks into games.
Oh, fun.
Huh.
I like that.
So like if you're dreading doing something,
Yeah.
figure out a way to make it a game.
Yeah, because when you're playing a game, you're engaged.
Yeah.
You're challenged. You're having fun.
Yeah.
So why not apply those same principles to work or your daily tasks?
Okay, so how would you turn like a stack of paperwork into a game?
Well, you could set a timer,
Okay.
see how fast you can get through a certain number of pages.
Mm.
Or you could create a point system for different types of tasks. Okay, I like that.
Be creative.
Okay, so now page 98 is talking about active relaxation.
Okay.
What is that?
Well, think about zoning out in front of the TV.
Right,
It might relax you,
right.
but it doesn't really refresh your mind
Okay.
or your spirit.
So active relaxation would be things that actually engage your mind?
Exactly like gardening, playing
What?
chess.
Okay.
learning a new skill, or even going for a walk in nature.
Right.
Those things help you recharge.
Okay, so it's about like stimulating your creativity,
That's it.
your mind,
Yeah.
not just like vegging out.
Exactly.
Okay, so now page 99 has this really beautiful concept. Make today a masterpiece.
I love that.
Right.
It's so simple,
It's simple, but
so powerful.
it's profound.
Yeah.
So it's like instead of viewing your life as this linear progression, he's
Wow.
saying treat each day as this unique creation.
Yes, like a work of art.
Yeah. And that can be really motivating.
It is, because when you see each day as an opportunity
Yeah.
to create something special,
Yeah.
you're going to be more engaged and enthusiastic.
I love that. Okay, so on page 102, we're getting into this idea of how we perceive problems.
Yeah.
And he's saying it's not the problems themselves that hold us back.
Right.
It's our attitude towards them.
Yeah. He even quotes the saying, the problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
It's about reframing those challenges
okay.
as opportunities to grow and learn.
So instead of saying, ugh, I have this problem,
Yeah.
you say, okay, this is a chance for me to learn and grow.
Exactly.
I like it.
And then that unlocks the energy and creativity
Yeah.
to find solutions.
Okay, now on page 103, he's talking about remembering important ideas.
Yeah.
And he's got this really cool technique. He treats them like song lyrics.
Oh, wow.
So he's like repeating them to himself, internalizing them, even writing them down.
Yeah, because it's not enough to just passively absorb information.
Right.
You have to engage with it,
Yes.
reflect on it, and find ways to make it a part of your life.
Yeah, you got to take action.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's get into goal setting, page 106.
Okay.
We're learning about process goals
Okay.
versus outcome goals.
Yeah. So it's about breaking down
Yeah.
those overwhelming tasks into smaller steps.
Yeah, so instead of just focusing on the end result,
Right.
you're creating like these little mini goals along the way.
And those small wins
Yeah.
help you stay motivated
Yeah.
and keep moving forward.
Okay, so think about a big goal you're working towards.
Yeah.
What's one small step you can take today to get a little bit closer?
I love that. And remember, even those tiny steps taken consistently lead to big results.
Okay, so page 108. This is a technique that I actually use.
Oh, what's that?
It's called advertising to yourself.
Okay.
So the author was talking about writing down all his goals.
Yeah.
Daily, monthly, yearly life goals.
Yeah.
And just having them like constantly visible.
Because it's all about creating an environment
Yes.
that supports your goals.
Yes.
And reminds you of what you're working toward.
I'm a big fan of vision boards.
Me too.
I've got them up everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, now on page 114, we're talking about intention.
Oh, yeah.
And the author's sharing this story about how he met someone that could help him
Right.
reach a professional goal. And it seemed like totally random.
Yeah. But he says it's because he set a really clear intention.
Okay, so it's not just like wishing or hoping.
Right.
It's like actively aligning your thoughts and actions.
That's it. Hope.
And it worked. It's almost like the universe was like, okay, I hear you,
Yeah.
and brought the right person into his life.
The power of intention.
Okay, so on page 117, we're talking about how to deal with those negative thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
That we all have.
We all have them.
And he's got this technique of like challenging them.
Right. So you're basically debating
Yeah.
with yourself.
Yeah, like presenting a case
Right.
for a more optimistic perspective.
So instead of letting those negative thoughts just take over, you actually present evidence for why things might be okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
So it's like next time I'm feeling negative, I'm going to channel my inner lawyer
I love that.
and make a case for optimism.
That's great.
Okay, so on page 119, we've got this story about how the author reframed a really stressful experience into a learning opportunity.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
So his teenage daughter came home late one night,
Oh, yeah.
and, he was understandably worried. But
Right.
instead of just freaking out
Yeah.
and getting stuck in that anxiety,
Right.
he used it as a chance to reflect on his relationship with his daughter
Oh, wow.
and to see, like, okay, how can we improve our communication?
That's a great approach
Yeah.
to take.
So turning what could have been a really negative thing
Right.
into like a bonding moment.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love that.
Okay, page 124, talking about consistent effort.
Yeah.
So the author was inspired by actors Richard Burton and Tony Randall,
Okay.
who both had these amazing speaking
They're
voices.
beautiful voices.
And they both said that they got that way by singing.
Really?
So the author decided to try it,
Okay.
even though he was not a natural singer
Right.
at all.
But over time, his voice transformed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reminder that you can achieve incredible things if you just keep at it.
Even in areas where you don't feel naturally gifted.
Exactly.
Okay, so page 126. This is a great message for, kind of the future of work.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all about the value of lifelong learning.
Right. So the author emphasizes the importance of constantly learning and growing.
Yeah.
Especially because the world's changing so quickly.
Yeah. He even uses this phrase, usefulness is back in style.
I love that.
So, what skills or knowledge areas could you develop?
That's a great question.
To make yourself even more valuable.
With a listener to think about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so page 131.
Okay.
We're talking about Bobby Fischer.
Oh, wow, the chess champion.
Yes, and he used deep breathing techniques.
During the matches.
Wow. To, boost his mental stamina.
Really?
So it's mind-body connection.
That's it.
Right.
There's such a powerful connection between our breath and our mind, our focus.
Okay, so on page 133, we're talking about coaching and the value of that.
Right.
So he was talking about his experience working with a business consultant.
Good.
And how this consultant helped him identify these habits that he didn't even realize were holding him back.
Oh, wow.
And he uses this metaphor of moving out of your psychic home.
Interesting.
It's sometimes you just need that outside perspective.
You do.
To show you what you can't see yourself.
Yeah. You have these blind spots.
Yeah.
A good coach can help you see.
Okay. Page 140, we're talking about self-reflection.
Oh, yeah.
And that quote, the soul talking to itself.
Oh, that one.
So it's really getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
What are your motivations? What are your fears, your strengths and weaknesses?
And the cool thing is once you know those things, you can start to change them.
Okay. Page 141, bold strategy for motivation.
Okay, what's this?
Main outrageous promise.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so he's telling the story about a casino owner in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Who publicly promised a ton of money
Yeah.
if he was ever caught smoking.
Oh, wow.
Talk about motivation.
That's high stakes.
So he's using social pressure to keep himself accountable.
That's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so page 145.
Okay.
Another quote here.
Right.
The fastest way to succeed is to help someone else succeed.
I love that.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's about shifting the focus outward.
Yeah.
And
contributing to the success of others.
Exactly.
Okay, and then page 147.
Yeah.
Inspiring story about Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
He got cut from his high school basketball team.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead of giving up,
he
used it as fuel.
He worked even harder.
To prove himself.
Oh, wow.
So it's that idea that setbacks can actually make you stronger. Okay, so page 150.
Oh.
We're talking about shifting the focus inward.
Okay.
And creating your own definition of success.
Right. So instead of looking for external validation,
right,
you figure out what truly matters to you.
Yeah, what would make you feel proud and fulfilled.
And what does success really mean to you?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Okay, so on page 153,
right,
this is about the power of urgency.
Okay.
So the author, Anthony Burgess, was diagnosed with a terminal illness.
Oh, wow.
And they gave him a year to live.
Oh, no.
And he was like, oh, I better get writing.
Wow.
And he produced this amazing body of work.
So it's that sense of urgency sometimes can unlock our potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so page 155, the 5% solution.
Okay.
What is that?
So it's about making small incremental improvements every single day.
Okay.
Instead of trying to change everything at once.
Yeah, it's the little things.
The little things.
Done consistently. That make the big difference.
That's that one area where you can improve by 5%.
Yeah, just a tiny little step in the right direction.
I love it.
Okay, so now on page 156, we have this story about the author's brother.
Okay.
Who is struggling to write this school report.
Oh, yeah.
And their dad gave him this really great advice.
What was that?
He said, bird by bird, buddy. Just take it bird by bird.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
I love that.
It's how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about breaking down those big, overwhelming tasks into smaller, more manageable steps.
So if you're looking at the whole thing, you're like, I can't do this.
It's too much.
But if you just focus on that one paragraph or that one page.
Just focus on the process.
You can get it done.
And before you know it, you're done.
Yeah. Okay. So page 159.
Okay.
The power of visioneering.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this is about using mental imagery
Yeah.
to make your dreams a reality.
Oh, I love that.
So he's telling this story about his daughter who used visualization techniques
Yeah.
to help a friend who was afraid of diving.
Wow. So she pictured herself
Yeah.
doing it successfully.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it worked.
That's awesome.
It's like our minds are so powerful.
They are.
If you can see it, you can make it happen.
That's right.
So, okay, page 162.
Okay.
We're talking about humor
Yeah.
as a weapon against fear.
Really?
So when things get tough, just laugh it off.
Well, it's not always that easy.
Right.
But laughter can help us shift our perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, and he tells a story about how his friend, a comedian, helped him get through a rough time
Yeah.
just by making him laugh.
I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah.
Where you're in a really tense situation and someone cracks a joke.
Yeah.
And it just like diffuses all the tension.
It's like a pressure valve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, page 165.
Okay.
Make lists.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so he's saying that most people plan a picnic more carefully than they plan their lives.
That's probably true.
So are we supposed to have like itineraries for our lives?
Not necessarily, but lists can be really helpful
Okay.
for staying organized
Okay.
and focused.
So break down your big goals.
Yeah.
Keep track of your progress.
Yes.
Clear the clutter.
Totally.
Okay, so on page 169,
Right.
lead by example.
So it's not what you say.
Yeah.
It's what you do.
He's got another great quote here. What you are speaks so lightly, I can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, that's a good one.
So if you want to motivate other people,
Yeah.
you got to be a living example
Yeah.
of what you want to see.
That's it.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
so page 170,
Okay.
planning your attack for success.
Oh, interesting.
So he's telling this story about this young wrestler
Oh, yeah.
who was really good at countering moves,
Yeah.
but he wasn't winning.
Right.
So his dad, who was a successful car dealer,
Okay.
was like, you need to develop your own offensive strategy
Oh, wow.
instead of just reacting to what your opponent is doing.
So be proactive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so on page 173, reframing rejection.
Okay. So instead of seeing it as a sign of failure,
Yeah.
he says, view it as a challenge
Okay.
to be more creative.
So it's not, no, it's not yet.
That's it.
Okay, page 176.
Okay.
Be mindful of your media consumption,
Oh, yeah.
especially when it comes to the news.
Right, because there's so much negativity.
Yeah.
Yeah. He points out that negativity bias.
It just drains your energy.
Yeah, it does.
That sucks.
And it creates anxiety.
So be selective
Yeah.
about what you're letting into your mind.
Right. Does that news actually serve you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Okay, so page 178.
All right.
Transform worry into action.
Oh. How do we do that?
So he's saying when you're worried about something,
Uh-huh.
ask yourself, what can I do about this right now?
Oh, so instead of worrying,
Yes.
you take action,
Yes.
even if it's small.
Even if it's small,
Yeah.
get out of that worry cycle.
Action is the antidote.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, page 181.
Okay.
Whiners versus thinkers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So surround yourself with the thinkers,
Yeah.
the solution-oriented people.
Right, because the whiners are focused on the problems.
Yeah.
The thinkers are focused on the solution.
That's a choice.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so page 182,
Okay.
pleasure versus enjoyment.
Oh,
So he's saying that activities that challenge you and require skill
yeah.
lead to a much deeper level of satisfaction.
Right. So watching TV might be pleasurable,
Right.
but it's not necessarily enjoyable in the same way as
Yeah.
learning a new skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so page 189, embrace your quirks.
Oh, I love that
What? So he's saying that what we perceive as weaknesses
Right.
can actually be our unique strengths.
He even shares how his own shyness,
Yeah.
which he thought was a weakness,
Yeah.
led him to develop strong writing skills.
Wow.
Yeah.
So turning what you thought was a bad thing, right?
Into a superpower.
Exactly.
Okay, page 191.
Okay.
This is a good one. Imagine yourself as the problem.
Oh, wow.
Well,
That's an interesting way to look at it.
so it's not about blame.
Right.
It's about taking ownership.
And recognizing that you also have the power
Yes.
to be the solution.
Okay, so it's like a perspective shift.
That's it.
Okay, on page 193,
All right.
think big.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's telling this story about how he helped his friend exceed his sales goals
Okay.
by encouraging him to aim for a target that seemed impossible. But by doing that, it like opened up all these creative solutions.
Yeah, you break through those self-imposed limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're limiting ourselves without even realizing it.
Exactly.
So if your goals aren't scaring you a little,
Right.
they might not be big enough.
That's a good point.
Okay, page 195.
Okay.
Find your heroes.
Oh, yeah. Find those role models.
Yeah.
Because they inspire us
Yeah.
to reach for our own greatness. He even talks about his sister, who was inspired by Amelia Earhart.
Really?
And ended up taking flying lessons.
Wow.
So think about your heroes.
Yeah, what are the qualities you admire in them?
Yeah.
How can you apply that to your own life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, page 197.
All right.
This is about creating a vision that excites you.
Right.
So not just a vision, but like a vision that moves you, that gets you out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, it should pull you forward even when it's tough.
So how do we create that kind of vision?
Well, think about what really matters to you.
Okay.
What are your values?
Yeah.
What kind of legacy do you want to leave?
Yeah. Okay, page 199.
Okay.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
So be proactive
Yeah.
in seeking out the information that you need.
It's a lifelong pursuit.
Okay, so page 200.
Okay.
The beauty of honesty.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's talking about honesty as like a foundation for a meaningful life.
It's about being true to yourself
Yeah.
and to others.
Okay, so now page 202.
All right. We've got Abraham Lincoln reading out loud
Really?
to himself.
Wow.
Yeah, he said it helped him retain the information better.
What?
So it's that idea of engaging multiple senses when you're learning something.
Maybe the listener can read some of this out loud.
Yeah. Okay, page 203. Laughing for no reason.
What?
Okay, so he's talking about these Zen monks
Oh, yeah.
who practice laughing meditation.
Yeah.
So they start with forced laughter,
Uh-huh.
but then it becomes real
Oh, wow.
and contagious.
That's cool.
So it's like recognizing that you have the power
Yeah.
to choose your emotional state,
Yeah.
and that laughter can actually change how you feel.
That's powerful.
So fake it till you make it,
I love it.
but with laughing.
That's great.
Okay, page 210. We're getting to the end here.
Okay.
And he's talking about these walks that he takes.
Oh, yeah.
He calls them walks with love and death.
Interesting.
It sounds kind of intense.
Does?
So he's saying he uses these walks.
Yeah. To reflect on challenges, to connect with himself.
Yeah.
To think about the big questions of life and death.
Oh,
So maybe it's not walks for you.
right.
Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's journaling.
It could be anything.
But the point is, like, find something
Yeah.
that helps you tap into that inner wisdom.
That's it.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
A lot of different techniques.
So many ways.
For boosting self-motivation.
Yeah. From setting intentions
Yeah.
to embracing our quirks.
Yeah.
To finding humor in tough situations.
It's been amazing.
Yeah. What stood out to you?
You know, for me, it was that relation shift.
Oh, yeah?
That whole idea that, like, helping others can boost your own motivation.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
I thought that was so interesting.
And it makes sense, right?
It does.
When you're focused on making a difference in someone else's life,
Yeah.
it takes the pressure off your own struggles.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I was really struck by that idea of creating a vision.
And living into it as if it was already real.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally.
If you believe it, you can achieve it.
That's it.
And that reminds me of another point that I really liked.
What's that?
Those small, consistent actions.
Oh, yeah. The 5% solution.
You don't have to change everything overnight.
Right.
It's those tiny little things that you do every day.
Yeah, consistency is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like building a muscle, right?
That's it.
You don't go to the gym once
Exactly.
and expect to see results.
It takes time and effort.
So speaking of muscles,
Yeah.
our brains can continue to grow and adapt.
I love that reminder.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're all works in progress.
That's right.
Okay, so before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to challenge you guys to take action
Yes.
on something we talked about today.
Yeah, pick one thing.
Yeah.
One technique
That resonated with you.
that really spoke to you.
Yeah.
And commit to doing it for a week.
And just see how it changes things.
Yeah.
Your energy, your focus. Yeah. Even those small changes can have a huge impact.
Yeah, you create that positive momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into self-motivation.
Yeah, this has been fun.
We hope you found it inspiring and empowering.
I hope so.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing,
Yes.
and keep diving deep.
I love that. It really does.
Yeah. And it kind of creates this upward spiral, you know?
It does.
Like you start helping others, you feel better about yourself,
Yeah.
and then you're more motivated to achieve your own goals. It's pretty cool.
It's like a win-win
Yeah.
for everybody.
Totally. And that reminds me of another point that I really liked.
Oh, yeah?
The small, consistent actions. You know, that 5% solution.
Yes.
It's like you don't have to change everything at once.
Right.
It's those tiny little habits that you do every day
Right? Those little things add up.
that compound over time.
Yes, consistency is key.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and it's like building a muscle,
Yes.
you know? You can't go to the gym once
Right.
and expect to have these huge muscles.
Yeah, you got to keep going.
It takes time and effort.
And speaking of muscles,
Yes.
our brains can continue to grow and adapt throughout life.
I love that reminder.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Like, we're not stuck.
You're never too old to learn something new.
Yeah, so we're all works in progress.
That's right.
So before we wrap up, I want to challenge you guys listening
Yes.
to take action on one thing that we talked about today.
Yes, pick one technique
Yeah, just one
that really spoke to you.
that you're like, oh, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
And commit to doing it for a week.
And see what happens.
Yeah, see how it shifts your energy, your focus, your motivation.
Pay attention.
Yeah, even those tiny little changes
They can make a big difference.
can have this huge ripple effect.
Yeah, create that positive momentum.
So thank you guys so much for joining us
Yes, this has been fun.
on this deep dive into self-motivation.
I hope you found it inspiring.
Yes, we hope you found it inspiring and empowering.
And I love it.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
Yes.